Here, let's put it this way. I don't endorse sending skulls to anyone's houses.
I don't endorse it. I just think it's humorous. I wonder what people, again, I'm not saying do this. I'm just saying this is what I think is going to happen. When you say local nuclear war is humorous, I think someone else is going to try to find another funnier joke and then point it back at you. You know, maybe exemplary attacks on population, maybe unmodified counterforce attack, maybe civilian devastation attack. Maybe that's what people are going to find humorous. And when you complain about it and you go on your podcast that's behind a Patreon and you say, oh, people are harassing us by because they say all criticism is harassment basically, and they complain about it, what people are going to say is they're going to throw this clip at him and say, I thought it was humorous. It's right, for as crazy and stupid as the sector is, when they have debates, they're actually better because there's been so much upward pressure through deplatforming and by constant fights and stuff that has just not existed on this area, in this side of things for 10 years. They've just been coddled, protected on every platform, allowed to say dumb stuff, not be corrected and whatever, because anyone who comes to try and challenge them gets banned, right? So on the one hand, I want to say, no, commentary people should not talk about politics because they're not informed. There's nothing to learn from, and they're just going to make idiots of themselves. On the other hand, there's my, content brain thoughts as a member of the audience, which are, yes, talk about politics. Because they're going to sound so stupid. You're basically going to, okay, think about this. Here's a callback. 2017, beginning of the IBS era. Remember the debate between, everybody remembers this, the debate between Richard Spencer and Sargon, where it instantly devolved into hilarious bullshit about what is white and you're not as smart as you think you are. There's a reason that debate is remembered because it's fucking hilarious. It's not very informative. You're not going to learn a lot in that debate, but it's fucking hilarious seeing these guys talk about these topics and just have no idea what they're talking about. So as a member of the audience, I kind of agree with Idubbbz. You guys, go for it, man. Go for it. I want to see the debate where you guys talk about proportional force theory of Hamas and you can't even spell the name. I want to talk about the definition of terrorist with Hassan versus someone else, because it's going to be so stupid and it's going to be so entertaining. Now, the problem is if they do it for long enough, they'll end up like the sector where all the arguments are refined and stuff.
You're going to walk away thinking that the internet hates it.
Yeah, but it's not just your comments. And again, this is what I'm talking about when I say how siloed he is. But the thing is, you can go to so many different platforms and see that no one is taking Ian's side. This gets into the Darth Vader, Stalin, Hitler, Voldemort coalition, where all these people who should not be on the same side are united against you. You go on Kiwi Farms, anti-Idubbbz. You go on Twitter, anti-Idubbbz. You go in the gay center left commentary community, anti-Idubbbz. You go obviously in his own comments section, anti-Idubbbz. You go on the subreddits associated with all these people, anti-Idubbbz. The only one that's pro-Idubbbz is Snark, and they're not really pro-Idubbbz. They're pro-Idubbbz. They're pro-Hassan. It's not really quite the same thing. You can go across this kaleidoscope, this rainbow coalition, and they all fucking think you're dumb. But he doesn't look at any of these other places because they're too sensitive for his baby eyes.
We can talk about Ethan Klein's Instagram stories. We can talk about the Palestinian plight.
We can talk about we can talk about my Instagram stories, or we can talk about the third intifada.
We can talk about
what the fuck, man.
Well, my dog.
It almost makes me think that despite him trying to be this, we need to talk about this moral advocate, he doesn't understand the stakes of what is occurring in Gaza and this war. He doesn't understand what war is, that he would put those next to each other. And then he honestly thinks that this thing with Ethan is about the third intifada.
I feel I might be a little bit more top of the funnel, and I really don't mind that.
I'm top of the funnel. I'm the top of the funnel.
Kind of want to.
I'm the king of the funnel from the top on down.
I guess the difference now is that these two spaces are interacting, and it's just
again. It's not the first time. It's just the last time this happened, you guys got the entire other side banned. And so now all that's left is everybody who pretty much is on the same side fighting over who's the big dog. There was bloodshed. There is bloodshed. And there will be bloodshed every week until the end of time. The wheel will keep turning and crushing the weak under its axle until God himself comes down and ends the cycle. So here's the trailer, because we're doing Anissa and Idubbbz first.
Ian Joma used to be a respected comedian. He had a well-to-do YouTube channel, and he didn't take shit from anyone.
Fuck you.
Until one day, he met Anissa, who didn't have any talent.
There's nothing worse than a slut who's ugly.
And all of a sudden, he became the cuck.
I did this, and I am so glad I did.
He's about to find out just how far a cuck can fall.
Ah, this shit's hard.
This summer, Ian Joma goes for broke. Get it? 'Cause he's feckin' broke. In the cuck. Rated Who Gives a Fuck? Quit giving these people attention.
It's really hard.
So yeah, somehow Idubbbz has found a way to associate himself even closer with terrorists, or at least with, I've already talked about my issue with the term terrorist, but with violent Tuscan raiders 2,000 miles away from his porch. And basically the keystone of this segment is going to be, he goes on Noah Samsen, who, like I said before, I didn't even know existed until this week, because I don't follow like any of these leftist guys, but Noah Samsen, who's got like the symbol of bipolar schizophrenia as his hair dye, has him on the show where Idubbbz decides to basically say all the worst things he possibly can in relation to the third internet intifada and Ethan. And this was last night. And it made me glad that last stream I talked about how there was this stuff going on where Bad Empanada did this like 3-hour cope, or 3-hour, wasn't really a cope. If anything, it was Hassan coping. 3-hour struggle session against Hassan, making him basically fall to his feet because Hassan like needs allies as much as possible right now, right? And I'm glad that I didn't go through and clip all that, because this basically is just the sum up to that arc as that entire side falls apart. And of course, there was a attack yesterday where 2 Messianic Jews, everyone seems to not be talking about that, but these were Jews who believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, which take that as you will, but it's interesting that that's not the part of it being focused on. Anyway, two Messianic Jews got shot, and the guy who did it said "Free Palestine" and basically is a Hassan fan. And the ADL itself is calling out Hassan. And it's just, it's so funny because in this segment, Idubbbz is going to say that he thinks the skulls getting sent was merely humorous. And it's like, can we like look at the list of all the people who have like called out the CPS call against Ethan and the skulls and stuff? Because it's like it's the most diverse coalition possible. It's like Nazis, far like liberals, Christians, Jews, Hitler, Darth Vader, Voldemort, the guy in the Count of Monte Cristo right before he's about to kill an infant. All these guys are united in support, or saying that like the CPS call was a step too far, and Ian, his friend of 10 years, couldn't even do that. So here, we just got a couple here, the little classics from Anissa before we get to the clip. I keep hyping myself up to get my nipples pierced and then putting it off because I'm terrified I'll be one of those unlucky souls that has their piercings never heal. Yeah, great. So just she's running out of space on her body to like draw pre-algebra doodles on. So now we're going into the piercing arc, and you may think, well, what about shaving her head? That would be on the list, right? Well, she already did that. That's already been done. So that frontier has been passed. Okay, so let me get the sound mixing on this right.
One last question: did you send the skulls? What is your opinion on the skulls, and did you send them?
Look at this. Why does he have a gold tooth? Does he think this makes him look good? I know that like Anissa has said before that his style is like trashy, white trash or whatever, which I don't know why I guess it's because he's just returning to Monkey because he's a single mother, product for single mother. So he's just like, I have to return to Monkey. But why would you get this if you don't have to? Like, this is like black rapper stuff. How can you be a cuck with a gold tooth?
I didn't send the skulls.
Amazing. I hate to say it because obviously sending the skulls is bad, but like Ian doesn't have the balls to send the skulls. Like he is not cool enough to have sent the skulls. And sending skulls isn't cool, but that's just how uncool he is.
I don't know. I thought the skulls thing was kind of humorous to hear that.
Okay, humorous. Sorry I don't have this already pulled up. I know I say this every stream about... So, the right-wing sector has already gone through the full Herman Kahn escalation chart. All 44 steps. That's why, like, with Ralph and stuff, the immediate thing is to call someone a pedophile and say we should call their work, right? Whereas the left is going through it now way later because they've basically been coddled up until now. Because I don't think people realize just how bad him saying that is. And, you know, him already not like calling out the CPS call was bad because it invites a response, which is what happened when Hassan was detained at the border. Okay. And now we have people shooting each other in real life and it being associated with Hassan. So him saying that the skull getting called as humorous is like if you were to be, hey, we are at... We're not quite there. We're at local nuclear war. So, you know, someone drops a tactical nuke on Ethan Klein's military formation. Imagine if the president of this, or not the president, because Ian's not the president, but like the Department of Agriculture, like something completely came out and said,
I don't know. I thought the skulls thing was kind of humorous.
I thought the tactical nuke was kind of humorous. It's like, what do you think the response to that is going to be? What do you think you're telling people?
To hear that, especially when I heard that they were like from skulls.com or some shit like that. That made it funny.
Yeah, just a death threat to a father.
I like how he even Mr. Bipolar Hair even is like, yeah, you know, it's just a death threat.
A family.
Yeah, was it a death threat?
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. Skulls.com with the serial number still attached and the packaging still on it.
To be honest, I didn't know anything about it because I think it was
It's humorous now. I don't even know. It's like Nuremberg, changing your position at Nuremberg.
linked to as like was it a response to my content com? Or was that before? I don't even remember.
It was before. They didn't talk about it till after.
Do you think he sent the skulls himself?
I don't.
It's a false flag. Oh, I love how convergent these guys are with this sector, where it's just like anything involving a high elf. It's a false flag. The ADL is controlling the government. Like,
let's put it this way. I don't endorse sending skulls to anyone's houses.
I don't endorse it. I just think it's humorous. I wonder what people, again, I'm not saying do this. I'm just saying this is what I think is going to happen. When you say local nuclear war is humorous, I think someone else is going to try to find another funnier joke and then point it back at you. You know, maybe exemplary attacks on population, maybe unmodified counterforce attack, maybe civilian devastation attack. Maybe that's what people are going to find humorous. And when you complain about it and you go on your podcast that's behind a Patreon and you say, oh, people are harassing us by because they say all criticism is harassment, basically. And they complain about it. What people are going to say is they're going to throw this clip at him and say, I thought it was humorous. I thought it wasn't a death threat or whatever. And this is how the escalation chart works, right? This is where you go. I said before that the CPS call was civilian devastation attack. That was me exaggerating. Honestly, it was more like I said, local nuclear war. But it's only going to get worse. And what's funny too is most of the counterforce attacks again after the CPS call have been directed at Hassan. Right? It's been him being stopped at the border. It's him now this whole thing with the ADL. Well, now that he's, you know, it's almost like I was just like, wait a minute, I want to get fucked with too. And then comes on this show, right? Okay. So in response to that clip, Ethan is understandably angry. And I'm surprised because, again, like this is a guy who has there's so much to criticize Ethan Klein on. There's so many things that you could go after him for that would be totally fine. There's so many people who don't like him, who are on his side. Like I said, we've got the Stalin, Hitler, FDR, Darth Vader, Voldemort doomsday pact that have all come together to somehow be on this guy's side. And so he could have melted down on his stream, which would have been kind of entertaining. It would have been entertaining for someone like me who just wants to see a shit show. But he could have done that. Instead, he does something which is way funnier, which is reveal this. Now, to be clear, this is something that the thread on Kiwi Farms has known for a while, because it's easy to put the dates together, and there have been comments about it in the past. But, of course, the thread on Kiwi Farms doesn't have 50,000 live viewers like H3H3 is. So he just lobs this little tack nuke back. Ian lost his virginity to Anissa, and he had never had a girlfriend or been with a woman before that. This is what he told me shortly before he started dating her. What I think is really funny about this is, in any other circumstance, I would say this is based, that he married the first woman he had sex with. Like in a normal functioning relationship where you have this balance between like the best parts of men and the best parts of women, symbiotic, like a organism, this would be great, and it would actually indicate a very low divorce rate. People who marry the first people they have sex with have the lowest divorce rate, and people who are married have sex more than anybody else, which is why it's funny that they call like people like that incels. The problem is Idubbbz has somehow managed to turn basically getting the statistical jackpot into what he is, which is totally like sexless and everything. And I said this last stream where it's so funny that they were calling Ethan an incel, because Ethan has physical proof that he's had sex, which is 3 children, whereas Anissa and Idubbbz don't. So, maybe there's a double super funny red pill position to take on this, where it's like, no, Ethan's lying. Ian didn't lose his virginity to Anissa because he still hasn't lost it. They haven't actually had sex, which is not even really outside the realm of possibility, given the way that their relationship is structured. Okay. So he also brings up, he said, I never planned on sharing that story, but after sharing him call Skull's humorous, I realized there's nothing they won't say or do. Yeah, I mean, just go off, King. Like, if I was Ethan, honestly, the one thing that he has that he hasn't released yet, drop all the texts. Every interaction you've ever had, drop it. There must be something in there that he thinks makes him look just as bad, and let's be real, there probably is. So it's like, I kind of get that. But if Ethan's really, really dedicated to getting all the way up to the 44 escalation chart, he'll do that. Ian has an emotional relationship with Anisha, not a physical one. The problem is it's impossible to have a healthy marriage without sex. You have to be having regular sex. That's also why birth control is bad, because it messes up women's sex drive cycle. Yeah, so it's like, you should just drop all the texts. And yeah, like I said, there's gonna be something in there that makes him look bad, but just go for it, man. Like, you're already in full-scale nuclear war. Just drop it all. That's kind of why, I really don't like there's aspects of the, quote, commentary community, the LGBT community, that's really gay. But one thing I do like, they do stuff like they sweep up for, quote, sex work, and they use all this gay neologisms and language. They don't speak honestly. They cover up for people that they shouldn't. But one thing is, they have a very simple rule about dropping DMs, which is the minute anyone drops any DMs, you just drop everything. That is based. And that's how I would like to see that sort of more outsider perspective that the rest of the internet works on find its way into these leftist spheres, because, dude, I bet you that the DM change between all of these guys, Noah are fucking wild. So this is Anissa disproving a claim that Ethan made, that the previous boyfriend of hers was 17. What's funny about this is, again, this is something that's been on Kiwi Farms. They've already disproven that that she didn't date a 17-year-old. What is funny is that by drawing attention to this, however, people are going to see that she cheated on this boyfriend to get with Ian, which is terrible. That is proves what everyone claims about her. This is this is funny, saying Kiwi Farms rumor. Like, again, this is low IQ narcissist Anissa, where like she thinks she's getting a W but is low IQ and doesn't realize it's an L. Her saying this means people are going to type in Kiwi Farms and go to this thread, and what's on the first page? Proof that she cheated on this boyfriend that she's proving wasn't underage. I know, guys, this is a cognito hazard. The longer you listen to this, it hurts your brain. Everybody turn on your psychic shields. Psychic shields active. All right, red alert, shields up.
How did you and Ian meet? I was in San Diego for TwitchCon, and I, being an idiot, accidentally booked a extra night and an extra...
So I think the story she's going to tell here is that she's there for TwitchCon. She talks to Ian and meets up with him. Now, the problem is she's told a different story before that, like in their Discord, there's a lot of old Discord messages from her of her talking shit about Ian. That's how we know they almost broke up. And, you know, some people say, oh, we could have saved him. I don't know. I think Ian's fucked. But in that story, she was still with her previous boyfriend. That's why I say she cheated.
Day in San Diego. So TwitchCon was over, everybody was gone, and I was stuck in the hotel alone with nothing to do. And I was on my Twitter feed, and it was when Ian was just spamming his Twitter feed with something about Leafy and Max Mofo backstabbing him like as a meme. And he was just like, it was like tweet after tweet after tweet. So I was like, okay, this individual's bored. I know he lives in San Diego. Maybe he wants to hang out because anything's better than like sitting in this hotel.
Wow. So yeah, it's just straight up monkey bar. She sees an opportunity. It's sort of like me calling into the Housemeister stream and just talking shit. Just total like opportunistic behavior.
All day. So we ended up messaging each other, and he was like, oh, do you want to go and eat? And I was like, sure, just whatever. I just don't want to be in this hotel room anymore. So Ian ended up taking me to this hole-in-the-wall taco shop, which are usually the best places to get tacos, and then I left. As soon as I left the Jeep.
So the thing she's not mentioning, if I recall correctly, is that she, like I said, she was still with her previous boyfriend, who was a streamer. So she was like at VidCon with him, and then goes and meets Ian.
I was thinking to myself, this human is never interacting with me again. I fucked it. Like, this is over. And and I guess he was thinking the same thing. He thought that I didn't like him, and he fucked it up. So when he got home, I guess he was fighting with himself whether to text me or not, because he thought that it was like completely done. But he decided to message me anyways, and he said, hey, I made it home safe. And the amount of relief that I was like, holy shit, this human is still talking to me, it was unbelievable. We didn't stop talking that whole night. We talked until we fell asleep, and then ever since then, we've just been pretty much inseparable. It sounds so stupid. The story's so stupid.
Yeah, that's like what something liars will say. So like, the story, doesn't that sound crazy? It's like, yeah, probably because you've like have a whole bunch of lies in there, which are that she was with her boyfriend. We hated each other, but we went back to the hotel together. It's all right. Everybody regain your shields, your psychic powers. Okay.
He's about to be like, listen, Kate, we're not done here.
Well, no, I mean, and that's the thing. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to resort to that. There was a guy who screamed free Palestine and was one of your followers who shot 2 people. We don't need to talk about your feet anymore. This is what I mean by the escalation chart. The bottom, this is solemn and formal declaration. That's making fun of your feet, okay? We're way past that.
Okay. Have you...
And it's not over for this guy. Again, I'm not telling people to do this. I'm just making a prediction right now. Hassan is going to get swatted by the end of this. 100% it's going to happen. And he is going to get swatted by the end of this, because it is the final... It's just where it's going. And honestly, so will Ethan, probably. I mean, people are already getting shot. Like, it's really not that much of a stretch. And then once that happens, once the like swatting cherry is popped, the way conversations work on this left-wing sector of the internet will be almost indistinguishable from the sector, like the IBS sector, where it's just, you get in the call, first thing, you're a pedophile, then you start talking about who swatted who, etc., whatever. Idubbbz seemingly wants people to be more political. And I am of two minds. Because he's specifically talking about how commentary guys who normally only talk about like bullshit, drama, should be more political. And I'm of two minds. There's my actual thoughts, which are, wow, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. Who the fuck wants to hear about political opinions from Nicholas Eats Oreos? Like, these are the least well-equipped people, the least well-informed people, and it's proof by a lot of this, like, left sector guys who have had basically no upward pressure put on them because they don't get deplatformed to refine their arguments. It's why, for as crazy and stupid as the sector is, when they have debates, they're actually better, because there's been so much upward pressure through deplatforming and by constant fights and stuff that has just not existed on this area, in this side of things for 10 years. They've just been coddled, protected on every platform, allowed to say dumb stuff, not be corrected and whatever, because anyone who comes to try and challenge them gets banned, right? So on the one hand, I want to say, no, commentary people should not talk about politics because they're not informed. There's nothing to learn from, and they're just going to make idiots of themselves. On the other hand, there's my, like, content brain thoughts as a member of the audience, which are, yes, talk about politics. Because they're going to sound so stupid. You're basically going to, okay, think about this. Here's a callback. 2017, beginning of the IBS era. Remember the debate between, everybody remembers this, the debate between Richard Spencer and Sargon, where it like instantly devolved into hilarious bullshit about like what is white and you're not as smart as you think you are. There's a reason that debate is remembered, because it's fucking hilarious. It's not very informative. You're not going to learn a lot in that debate, but it's fucking hilarious seeing these guys like talk about these topics and just have no idea what they're talking about. So as a member of the audience, I kind of agree with Idubbbz. You guys, go for it, man. Go for it. I want to see the debate where you guys talk about like proportional force theory of Hamas and you can't even spell the name. Like, I want to talk about like the definition of terrorist with Hassan versus someone else, because it's going to be so stupid and it's going to be so entertaining. Now, the problem is if they do it for long enough, they'll end up like the Sector, where all the arguments are refined and stuff. Yes, Sargoy of Black Dad. I remember the dark-skinned... yes, Sector's land of warrior poets, exactly. And so, if they enter this sort of leftist IBS arc, the first couple years, there's going to be some really funny debates where these guys don't know what they're talking about. By the end of about 5 years, half of it will be culled, and they'll be smarter, and they'll have better arguments. And, obviously, as someone on the right, like generally who doesn't want these guys to get better at anything, I kind of don't want that, but I'm also a member of the audience, so it's like it would be entertaining. And ultimately, the goal, you're not gonna get your revolution. You should just try to become as autonomous as possible, so you don't have to care about the way this discourse goes. Okay, buddy. Look at his hair. Like, this is what I mean. It's just bipolar. Like, is that what he's going for?
How's it going?
It's going well. I've had a very productive day.
What are you working on?
If that's the first thing he says, he's had a productive day because he has to meet with Anissa at the end of he has to meet with Anissa at the end of every day and tell her what he did that day to make them more money. So it'll turn into Destiny, but less bad faith. No. I don't think Destiny is actually good at debating. I hate that narrative. I hate this narrative that Destiny is actually smart or that he's actually good at debate. I know I spent like 30 minutes shit talking Josh, but Josh is completely right when he says that if it wasn't for the DNC aligning with Destiny's ability to be a cocksucking gooner, he would just be a carpet cleaner in North Dakota. He is the most astroturfed, like, idiot. Like, Adderall-brained idiot. And I have a short on the channel you should watch where I explain why it's so funny how long people kept talking about Destiny with reverence as if he's some kind of smart debater or whatever, even after it came out that he was sucking cock while married. That should have been the end of it. The only time Destiny should ever be brought up by anyone, circa 2020, past 2020, when it went into like the open relationship arc, should have been just to laugh at him. Because there's nothing else like positive, or there's literally no concession to give, even on his like debatability. Go back and listen to the Destiny JonTron debate. I know people remember that debate as JonTron getting destroyed. I think JonTron did better than people give him credit for.
I have been doing some editing. I got something cooking up. I went to Walgreens.
It's his OnlyFans tape, but he's not the one to
do some
with Nessa.
Take some passport photos.
Why are you saying that? Why are you telling us that you're getting a passport? Again, this is a guy this guy has had the privilege of being on the protected sector of the internet. Imagine being in the sector and saying that. It's like, hey, everybody, I'm about to travel internationally. If you wanted to report me to the FBI so I get stopped at the border like Hassan, you better do it now. Of course, I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying that that's what he's telling the crazy people when he gives that sort of information for free.
And Anissa and I ate some ketchup chips and some mustard chips.
Pretty good.
Very good.
Nice, man.
We're live, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was the first thing you should have asked.
Sorry, I keep forgetting.
Again, this is what I mean. Like, these are such rookie mistakes if you're going to be entering this. You're entering civilian Central Wars stage, right? You know?
To mention that to my guest.
No, I mean, it should be obvious. I just felt, for some reason, I felt the need to ask.
Always good to check. Yeah, we're live. This is day 6 of the stream, and I'm glad you were down to come on. You were a highly requested guest. Because we're gonna,
of course,
drama and debate and all that. Yeah, I mean, is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Okay, come on.
And fucking, I like that shit.
Play a little GeoGuessr. Yeah,
watch
I'm super down.
I mean, I'm also, I'm good to debate. I'm good to talk shit.
What are you going to debate? You just submit to everything and agree with everything.
you know, just talk about what's happening on Twitter, elsewhere.
What is happening on
Twitter?
Talk
about we can talk about Ethan Klein's Instagram stories. We can talk about the Palestinian plight.
We can talk about we can talk about my Instagram stories, or we can talk about the third intifada.
We can talk about
what the fuck, man.
Well, my dog.
You know, it almost makes me think that, like, despite him trying to be like this, we need to talk about this moral advocate, even he doesn't understand the stakes of, like, what is occurring in Gaza and, like, this war. Like, he doesn't understand what war is, that he would put those next to each other. And then he honestly thinks that this thing with Ethan is about the third intifada.
With a lot of your guys' stuff is that it's so information dense and it isn't drama.
Information dense? How long is the stream? 8 hours? That's like the opposite of dense. Information dense is making a 30-minute video, like, explaining your the totality of your position on the Palestine war. That'd be pretty information dense for a topic of that complexity. Not an 8-hour stream where you're asking about whether we're going to talk about Ethan Klein's Instagram story or, quote, the Palestinian plight.
It's like, you know, it's a little further down the funnel, and I feel like, you know, I might be a little bit more top of the funnel. And I really don't mind that.
I'm top of the funnel. I'm the top of the funnel.
Kind of want to.
I'm the king of the funnel.
I think it's
top
fun
on down.
You know, to say free Palestine and also roll around in some of the drama slop. And you know, I just think for some people who are a little bit more, like, I don't know, apolitical or just, like, not really engaged, you know, a video like mine might be their first exposure to it, potentially.
Yeah, that's probably why they hated it and were like, what the fuck is this?
And
that's why you really shouldn't mix the two. Or if you are, you're, like, very distinct when you do it. And you make it clear to your audience, like, what the priorities are.
So I know that, you know, to not make some people fall asleep, you know, it being on something that people obviously care about.
Literally, his video is him just sitting in a room talking at a camera, and you're saying that you don't want them to fall asleep. There wasn't any skits, there wasn't any jokes, there was nothing.
You know, a little bit more, I don't know, casually. It's the drama stuff. So that's the main reason. It's just like I want, you know, and that's another reason as well. There's so many, like, well-educated people to speak on this, and I feel like, you know, I don't necessarily want people to get.
I think, and that's understandable. I think the way you brought it in, I'm glad you brought it into the video, especially under the circumstances of, like, this is what Ethan's saying, and I'm wondering, or this is what Ethan's saying. The video's about Ethan, but obviously these things mean a lot more if you're aware of the full context of, like.
They say so much and say nothing. Like, what did he just say there? It's the issues are complicated. It's hard to be precise when speaking about such a large issue. But he says it in, like, 40 words.
What he said about you.
I get it. He's been streaming for 8 hours, but then don't also call it informational dense. Also, why have this interview at the end of the stream? This is what you lead with, right? You bring Ian on and you have some, you press him on, like, what his positions are.
Gallant, or, I mean, just any of the clips you played of him talking. And I'm wondering what the response was like from people, if there was any.
Well, it's funny you say if you ask Ian about Palestine 5 years ago, he would have had no opinion. I think it's even more recent than that. Ethan claims that Ian didn't even know what Zionist meant 6 months ago. So it's, like, even worse.
Sort of inquisitive comments about the politics of the situation, like, where people, like, you know, like, oh, like what you're talking about, top of the funnel. Like, did you get that sense from some? I know a lot of it was about the drama, but did you see anything, whether in the comments or elsewhere on the internet, that, like, led you?
The problem is causing issue. But the other one is basically something happened
towards the belief that the video is serving as a top funnel.
Yeah. As I give you my answer, I just want to say, while you were talking, it sounded like the mic source switched to, like, your webcam or something.
Okay.
It's really hard, right? There's a lot of comments, and it seems like.
Oh, this is him. I saw a clip of this. This is him basically trying to cope about how it's everybody. Actually, not everybody hates the video, because the comments are just mean. You realize that the comments are the people who care the most. Like, the people who leave comments are higher, more invested than the people who just watch the video. So if all of them hate you, that should tell you something.
I got, like, from what I could tell, like, a pretty even mixture, 50-50. Like, some people are like, oh, this is way too, like, into politics. They thought there's a lot of people who thought the video was too centered around Israel-Palestine. I was like, well, in my mind, that's crazy, because I felt like it was just the smallest touch of that. And then there were some people who said the exact opposite.
Israel-Palestine is the locus of Hassan's alleged dispute with Ethan. Now, I've said before, I think the real dispute is that Hassan just wants to be the king of left YouTube and is basically trying to, like, impose his Massa Mullah infallibility doctrine on everybody. So he chooses this one really, really, really indistinct issue, which is oh yeah, I'm pro-Palestine, but you know, I think like there shouldn't be a genocide, like Israel shouldn't be completely destroyed. He picks this one little issue and creates a beef with Ethan about it to like impose, as a Turkish tyrant, his infallibility doctrine. So like, of course, people are gonna read that into your video.
And they were like, oh, this is just like, this is something that should have been addressed behind closed doors. Like, this is way like personal. This is your personal gripe or whatever that you're, you know, making public. So I got a little bit of both. And I'm pretty satisfied with that because I feel like that's probably the sweet spot. You know, if people can say both of those things.
Yeah. You said you were still searching for a space on the internet or a space with what you're making. Obviously, after you went.
I'm still searching for a space on the internet. This guy's YouTube channel is what, 15 years old and has 7 million subscribers. You had a place on the internet. It was being like a guy dressed up as a cop shooting your shotgun at porcelain gnomes in the desert. That was your place. That's what you built your audience off of. Then you decided, I don't like this place. You set it on fire like a pyromaniac. Apologize to all of your fans for the crime of existing, and are now being forced into a new place as the Turkish tyrant's like rent boy in his harem.
Woke. That has made it like you're in a new space.
Hassan would never approve of open borders for Turkey. Yeah, I responded to one of his tweets where I pointed out that like he talked about how no nation has a right to exist, and I said, does Turkey have a right to exist? And if it's about persecution, what about, do you support Peshmerga and the Kurds? Do you support the Armenians who were genocided, the Greeks in the genocide in Smyrna? Do you, like, of course, no, in a secular materialist world where there is no transcendent justification for the state, all states exist merely by a monopoly of force over a, like, piece of territory. It is all might makes right. And Hassan, as a communist, as a leftist, I don't even know what he self-defines. He's a leftist, he says that, is a materialist. He is a secular materialist. He does not believe in a transcendental justification for the state, which is how you get this might makes right ideology that Israel uses to do everything it does. Like, his entire worldview is the root of this problem.
That you have to navigate. And where are you at in that process now since you went woke, and then also since the response to the
Did he just say he went woke? Aren't you woke too? I thought that was a derogatory. Are you like reclaiming it like the N-word?
content, the H3 video, maybe, if that's changed the trajectory at all?
Yeah, I think a lot of it for me is just like confidence and just trying to, you know, feel good, feel proud, feel fucking energized, and like want to, you know, roll around in the shit, clap back, and not feel like not be so like I guess paralyzed that you're like fucking doing damage. And like, to be honest, I think just to have a little
It is funny hearing them all say this and then listening to the apology. Go back and listen to the apology review. And when he talks about how bad how none of his videos were justified, it's never justified to criticize everyone. And now he's just like, I just want to roll in the shit.
more purpose.
This would be like if Ralph made a video one day saying that like he's better than this and everything he did was bad, and then within 1 year was back to where he is now. Like, at least Ralph has been consistent on that.
And you know, I feel super jazzed
on being
up
the dirtiest
after
ape in the zoo.
and I hope this is just the beginning, because I want to. I don't know. There's some of that energy that I think people like recall from old Idubbbz videos, and they're like, you know, I want that old unhinged Idubbbz energy, that kind of shit. And I kind of get what they're saying, and I think a lot of
what people want is entertainment. It's really that simple, man. If you could make political content and all this shit, and it was entertaining, you could maybe make that shift. People, I wouldn't like it, but there could be an audience for that. I mean, what's funny is Ethan is a perfect example of that. He went from like normie shitpost stealing Sam Hyde's jokes videos to essentially a political podcast that also mixes in drama, and he gets like 50,000 views.
A lot of it is just generally having passion, and that coming, you know, to say fucking enough's enough, and political, everything's political. You have to acknowledge that element as well. You know, if you know, because it's all also political. Everything's political. You have to,
everything's political. It's like very good postmodern doctrine that's really helps you out, Idubbbz.
to acknowledge that element as well. I'm not gonna, you know, run away from that.
Yeah. And sometimes till tomorrow, and then maybe end, which will be.
The problem with the everything's political thing is it's like, well, then what's politics? What's the source of politics? What's the source of like our justification and our principles in politics? Because if it's just material conditions, then yes, everything by definition is political. But if the source of like our political principles, it comes from outside this world, it's not material, it's transcendental, well, then that's something else.
I had a question about that. Sorry. I think it was a lot about you right after the H3 Content Cop.
yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. It is what it is. I try to not.
It is what
give
it
too much
is.
attention.
As PPB says, the cope of the copeless.
And, you know.
Yeah, sure.
But I think he was raising money on his video. So
And it sounds like when you're talking about what you want to do, it's still there's a focus on how you're working on your art. I don't know if you would call it art, but like how you're working
Your art. Dancing around with the shotgun, sitting in a chair talking about, this is not what podcasts are.
on making a video and killing themselves and whatever else.
Whoa.
And that can be used for good, obviously, and it can be used for bad. Like, lol cows ending up killing themselves and
Oh,
whatever.
this is the lolcow part. Yeah, he's basically saying like laughing at lolcows is bad, except for when there are enemies. Look, because he says it can be used for good. Listen.
Like this on the internet, somebody's gonna shit on you and it's gonna get a lot of views. And I think that was one of at least when I remember watching them and saying, yeah, like that's there's like a broader thing going on here. And I know as you're making things,
Do these guys think talking shit was invented yesterday? That's like when people talk about like the lolcow trend. It's a new name for something that's always existed, which is that people have fun talking shit online. The problem is that when you start extrapolating anything beyond that into it,
things you probably don't think about it like that, but the structure of YouTube and YouTube commentary is kind of like, it feels like that. Find a target and critique them, and that can be used for good, obviously, and it can be used for bad. Like,
or it could be used for entertainment, which is what it's actually used for. These guys' like moral philosophy is so fucked because there's no basis, there's no like foundation to any of it. It is when he says use for good and use for evil, it means nothing more than the friend-enemy distinction. That's literally all he means. What he means is it can be used for good when you criticize my enemy, and it can be used for bad when you criticize my friend. That's what he means. Whereas if we just acknowledge that the purpose of talking shit online is entertainment, and there's no moral imperative beyond that, well, then you don't need to make that distinction.
lol cows
As long as you're not like doing like life ruination, not swatting people and shit.
ending up killing themselves and whatever else. It's a I don't know. I think I try to relate it back to politics and think like, does that structure of like looking at an Ethan Klein and saying like what he's doing is harmful in a lot of ways.
If you guys think that you're going to turn talking shit online into the latest enemy or the latest tool of your political movement, you got another thing coming.
Is that connected, do you think, to this old approach of like
Yeah, exactly. Doxing. Great quote. I remember that. Doxing can be used for good, or doxing can be used for awesome.
Exactly. Even though it might have felt like childish at the time. I mean, that's still the fundamental structure of what a lot of YouTube is, right? It's criticize. It's find something, criticize it, and then depending on how the audience takes it,
yeah, well, Idubbbz refers to all criticism as harassment, like directly. So
go from there. Like critical videos get shit on sometimes, and they get they run a creator gets run off the internet because they made a bad dunk video. I mean, you got a lot of backlash for the content, the latest content cop. I know, so you can handle it. I know because you've been doing it for a long time, but a lot of people can't. But
they can't handle it. They put their podcast behind a paywall and said that they were being harassed for 5 years. Don't say he can handle it.
Yeah, do you see any similarity?
He quite literally can't handle it. He blew a 7 million subscriber YouTuber channel because he couldn't handle it.
It's like,
yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think when I was speaking on that, I guess like that was one of the reasons why I felt comfortable, bringing back content cop, is I was like, oh, I have like a different perspective going into this, and I feel like my critiques are like they're way more in line with what I fuck with, rather than kind of what I see the internet fucking with. Like, because in these past videos, it's like,
so you're saying that you've become un-audience captured? Okay, sure. You're right. You're not captured by your audience because you disowned your audience. You're captured by Hassan. You're captured by these other peers, these closer, more personal peers who have siloed you off politically so much that you think you're winning. Those are the people who have captured you, and they can do so much more damage to you than the audience. Because like Hassan has his like Turkish Janissary axe over his head at all times. Because if Hassan boots him out of the harem, where the fuck does he go then?
it's like, okay, like what does the
who's going to give him comfort? Because he clearly can't make a home for himself.
internet not like about this person? And in a lot of cases, it was just really dumb shit, really petty shit. It's like, the harshest criticism of Rice Gum was like, yeah, he's arrogant and he flaunts his money. And it's like, okay, like that's not,
It was funny. Your video was funny. You made fun of him for being like an arrogant, materialistic, like Asian man who can't take criticism. It's like a funny contradiction. That's all it has to be. It doesn't need to be the crusade. It doesn't need to be saving the Middle East, the third intifada.
I think in a better way. And I don't think it was like in line with what my purpose is. So yeah, I do think there is some necessity to it. And I do like the idea of these videos like holding people accountable, even if it's just the fear.
Isn't it funny how like in the apology video, he directly says that like all the stuff he was criticizing wasn't real. Like he's not holding anyone accountable. He's putting himself above people when he's not. And then now it's like, he's the Judge Dredd of the internet now, and he's going to hold people accountable. If only you had a name for that, like content cop or something. Like we've come full circle. Like, this is some Hindu theology shit where we've gone through the Kali Yuga and now the universe has been reborn with, dude, what if I do content cop? Whoa, if only you figured that out 5 years ago when you disavowed it last.
Or of like a video being made about you. It's kind of, you know, for some people, it, you know, maybe it doesn't mean much, but obviously, like, you know, the fear of someone fucking doing a hit piece or like a, you know, just kind of going through your life, auditing your online life is just kind of, yeah, that's a threat.
Somebody makes a video and immediately that person's friend and friends and friend group and map of content creators all make functionally the exact same video. And then it's like, oh, there's a
brigading. Yeah, you know all about that.
Monetary aspect of it that gets wrapped up into it. And then, I've been seeing it more and more with, I guess, people like you, people like Gazan. And I'm wondering, I guess, like you're saying, when you look back and identify the surface level critiques of someone like Ricegum that are just like...
I'll say this about brigading. If it's just a bunch of people talking shit, like leaving bad comments or whatever, using the term brigading for that is really gay. And because there's no way to distinguish that from just you did something stupid and you're getting criticism, like, naturally. The point where I think, like, you could actually use the term brigading is when you get, like, mass flagging, like what Karl Jobst wanted to do to Lus, where you're, like, actively trying to deplatform them by taking advantage of, like, a shitty flag system. That, I guess, that would be, like, justifiable to use the term brigading. But when it's just, you get a bunch of dislikes, you get a bunch of people are talking shit, it's like, there's no way to distinguish that from just the natural consequence of making something bad or something people don't like.
Very simplistic, like, oh, this shit is annoying and cringe, which it is. Are there trends you see now that, like, that's obviously stayed, how have you seen it, like, stay, and does that, like, motivate you to want to continue trying to have more of a, you know, political or more of a in-depth commentary, I guess?
Yes, I think I've been surprised by how much it's stayed. There are a lot of things, Ethan as an example, there are a lot of things to, like, mock him about, bring up, make him look stupid, all this sort of shit. Like, the fucking tattoos are insane. Like, I really, like, wanted to...
Buddy, leave the tattoo criticism. I mean, you guys have a whole ecosystem here. You've got Bipolar Hair Man, you got the Turkish Tyrant. There are a lot of people who can do the tattoo talk. Not you, man. You're not that guy, okay?
Certain level of growth where you made that video 5 years ago, it looks way different. You're talking about that fucked up tattoo for way longer than you would need to talk easy dunk for the crowd that wants you to talk about it. And you can talk about the intended effect, because we talked.
Well, is the goal a dunk, or is the goal, like he said, to cause some kind of, like, political reawakening in the commentary community? Because if it's just to get a dunk, then you should just talk shit, right? But obviously, I guess that's not. He's saying that's not what he wants. He wants to. He wants Allah to awaken the people, like, of the commentary community and win the third intifada.
I guess I just didn't expect
criticism. You didn't expect to be criticized as the guy who made his career off criticizing others.
I don't know, the commentary.
Like, this guy have a memory of a goldfish? It's almost like nothing happened. Nothing happened before yesterday, right?
Community as a whole to be so, like, fucking. I don't know. Maybe they just don't think that there's, like, much in the way of views to get out of it, because I don't know. I look, like, there's so much fucking content coming out of that podcast, and I'm just like, yeah, this could literally be, like, an infinite back and forth. Like, there's...
Yes. Yeah, that's, you know, Ethan's a high elf. I'm pretty sure he's very open about the fact that he's, like, doing this for money, and this is good content for him, because you look so bad, and your position is so ridiculous that a CPS call was justified and skulls are justified, that, like, the longer he can keep you on this, the more wins he gets.
So much fucking footage to sift through. There's, like... And I can't believe that, you know, the space.
Yeah, that's the job. If you have a 7 million subscriber YouTube channel, if you treated this like a real job, 40 hours a week, you could go through all of Ethan's shit and respond to all of it. You totally could. You totally could if you treated it like an actual job. But it's like you want Allah to awaken the people and a commentary community be awoken to politics. But you want to still only do this 2 hours a week.
It's just, like, not really that interested in it. I don't know, just
immediate coalesce around Ethan kind of thing, or cringe and cucked than the last video. So that's going to be their thought, regardless of when with each new thing you do, you're woker and more cringe and cucked than
he's just like, so yeah, every video you make is worse and worse. I know he's, like, portraying what the narrative is, but why would he even just speak this into existence to him?
The last video. So that's going to be their thought, regardless of what. Disappointing almost, or like boggles the mind that the low-hanging fruit of the stuff he's saying is just being completely ignored.
I think it's probably...
Yeah, it's a strategy. I'm sure he's thought so much about it. Well, we'll flood their feeds. Dude, there's people whose whole job it is to, like, sift through all this and point out, like, what's stupid and what's not. Come on.
Now that I'm giving more thought, I think it's just, like, what the audience looks like. Like, I talked to Sandra
about
racist this briefly. Like, the fucking... Like, if you look at my comment section right now in the content cop, it definitely gives you probably, I mean, I guess, first fucking 20 are probably all, like, painfully average, you know, comments. But if you get into, like, if you're trying to, like, get an opinion, like what does the internet think about this video? You sort of undo it or whatever you want to do. You're gonna walk away thinking that like the internet hates it. Like
Yeah, but it's not just your comments. And again, this is what I'm talking about when I say how siloed he is his only form of feedback seems to be those comments and like Hassan in the room with him, Hassan and his wife in the room. And of course, what they're saying is what he's about to say here, which is those are just the comments. Like, trust me, there's this whole army that like is for you. Rohan's going to show up any minute now, and they're majority on our side. But the thing is, you can go to like so many different platforms and see that no one is taking Ian's side. I spent like 10 minutes last stream just reading one positive comment about Anissa on LCF, and like that was unusual because they're all so like, and it again, this gets into the like the Darth Vader, Stalin, Hitler, Voldemort coalition, where all these people who should not be on the same side are united against you. You go on Kiwi Farms, anti-Idubbbz. You go on Twitter, anti-Idubbbz. You go in the like gay center left commentary community, anti-Idubbbz. You go obviously in his own comments section, anti-Idubbbz. You go on like the subreddits associated with all these people, anti-Idubbbz. The only one that's pro-Idubbbz is Snark, and they're not really pro-Idubbbz. They're pro-Idubbbz. They're pro-Hassan. It's not really quite the same thing. You can go across this kaleidoscope, this rainbow coalition, and they all fucking think you're dumb. But he doesn't look at any of these other places because they're too sensitive for his baby eyes.
Everyone hates the video. All the points were bad. I betrayed my friend.
Yes.
I want to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
So
whatever.
the like-dislike ratio was
Well,
like
I don't think it's for a quick buck, but the rest of that, yeah.
100% dislikes. They say that. They like
Right, exactly. And I don't know, like seeing things on the back end, I'm just like, I don't see it that way, but I know that other commentary channels, regular people, when they're trying to get a temperature check about how people feel about this, they're going to like, if the like-dislike isn't giving them much of a vibe, they are going to go to the comments and they're going to, use that as a template for how they should feel about it. Not in all cases, but, they want to have
the dislikes bar is propagandizing against me, Gator.
an understanding. They want to be, but I think we're in kind of a new era. Like this might be, just.
Yeah, you think it's a new era because you jumped in. Just because you jumped in doesn't mean that this shit hasn't been going on for 10 years. You're just... You think, again, it's like nothing. It's like tomorrow never happened. Tomorrow, the world was made when I woke up this morning.
Maybe a left versus right in commentary or something. But
it has been left versus right in commentary literally since Zoe Quinn had sex with 5 video game journalists, at least. And I would actually argue before that. Again, you want to come in and you have all these grand plans for like this sector, the mega sector, and you don't even know what's going on.
But I think there's a big force of really loud people in the comments, and they scare people away. And especially if it's brigaded fast and quickly, like within the first 24 hours of it being uploaded, they're like, fuck this, I do not want the smoke, I do not.
This guy is like a far right tier like conspiracy theorist, where it's like anyone who's criticizing me is part of this massive conspiracy.
I want the heat and even make them feel.
Any come to mind specifically?
I mean, I think the left or the Snark, the H3 Snark has like kept track of them. There was like one smaller commentary, Markiplier maybe.
The H3, it's funny too that he copes about the H3 Snark because it's fucking insane. There's some posts on there that are just like, I mean, even for Reddit, like Reddit's already radioactive, but for Reddit, it's tough.
I'm not sure what it was. I think it's the type of video that is just going to upset both sides of the aisle. Someone can correct me, but I think it essentially came down to like, yeah, they're both kind of being assholes, but we're all assholes, so what are you going to do? Like,
yeah, exactly. That's what it should be.
He like kind of followed like the whole back and forth of the story, and then just was like super apathetic by the end of it. And it's like, oh man, this is like, I don't know. It's fair if you just want entertainment, but I think people very quickly from both sides.
If it's fair, then why did you say you want like to reawaken the political heart of the sector? Like
said like this video fucking sucks.
Like your whole thesis is that's not okay. Is that people need to be politically activated, and that you're going to be the guy to do it.
And he privated it or deleted it. I'm not sure.
All right.
100th time you've talked about boobs in video games this week, and like I don't like you're getting views,
right.
but
Yeah.
It's kind of like it feels weird, and you are kind of one of the people in the middle of the transitory space, and that's kind of probably a weird position.
No, he's not in the middle. I'm pretty sure I know what he's talking about here. That he's like still making his transition to being his transition.
Drawing intense meaning out of that is still like an audience of people that hate this person for various reasons. They're not like necessarily like explicitly political actors. Like it's not like, oh, they're gonna go do a hate crime because they don't like a leftist online. A lot of times they just think they're cringe.
Well, someone did just do a hate crime against like shooting the 2 Jewish Messianic Jews.
And in the same
that's not too crazy to suggest anymore.
way, people have thought people were cringe on the internet always. But I guess the difference now is that these two spaces are interacting, and it's just
again. It's not the first time. It's just the last time this happened, you guys got the entire other side banned. And so now all that's left is everybody who pretty much is on the same side fighting over who's the big dog. Like, not even the issues.
It feels weird. Like,
If you guys actually cared about politics, you would let on all the. You would let, as crazy as it sounds, you'd bring the kill stream back on. You'd let him back on YouTube. You'd let all these guys back on YouTube. But they would, like, honestly, even if they were allowed, they probably wouldn't primarily stream there because there's already been all this work building like parallel infrastructure because you guys brought the need for it.
it's a probably weird position to be in.
It's shocking. Like Ethan is using fucking like clips and like rhetoric that I've heard over the past, decade from.
Yeah, because it's true. It's true, and you're now having to face the fact that a guy who agrees with you on all this, so much of the gay shit that you guys believe about, like sexual politics and stuff, that all the arguments are coming from him too, because this was never about politics. Like, people didn't. I don't like his politics and his change in politics, but to be real, people started hating Ian not because of politics, not because he stopped saying slurs. Really, it's like the deeper issue is that he's not funny, he's not entertaining, and he's inconsistent, and he clearly is like making poor decisions because he can't control his family. He can't control like his life.
From my haters, and I'm just like, oh, this is wild. Like, we are not, we're in a very different era, and I kind of forget that there is.
No, we're not. It's just that the criticisms were always valid. Just more people are using them now. That's all it is. It's just platform inflation. I said this before when Ethan put out the Instagram story where he pointed out how Ian allegedly lost his virginity to Anissa. I think there's two possibilities. Either that's true or he actually still hasn't lost his virginity. But that's something that's been known. That's something that was in the thread Kiwi Farms like years ago.
Aspect of the internet winning the argument and who was like presenting a better case. I think a lot of those people are just silent. At most they're clicking like on a video, but they're not gonna. And who's like, but I think all of the people who are like, who is like literally winning the argument and who is like presenting a better case.
I think that most people decide who wins an argument purely by intuition, by like how it feels who's winning, and everyone feels like you're losing, and it's hard to come up with any cope otherwise.
A lot of those people are just silent. At most they're clicking like on a video, but they're not gonna.
What he's saying here is, it's like, to be fair, you need a very high IQ to understand why I'm winning.
Fucking put in like the labor to like make sure their guy wins or their girl.
Charged about it. Yeah.
That's how I see it, at least.
Shout out FouseyTube, we love you.
What? Did he?
Jay,
wait, hold on. That was a wild fucking. You just shout out Fousey? Why? Why was this guy aligned with Fousey? I guess it's because Fousey's like pro-Palestine, buddy. What? Fousey's gonna save the left sector.
To kind of freely talk about it.
We need a name for this left sector, because I always say like the sector on the left. It's got to be something else. Obviously, we have the sector, which is the sector. What is this? Just the brothel? Like I
air in front of a live audience. It feels like I'm.
Yeah, I feel like it's.
We can't even say it's like the synagogue, right? We can't even like do that trope because they're anti-Semitic now.
That's a very good instinct to have, to just not want to speak on things until you fully understand them. That's how I've always.
Yeah, you imagine that.
I don't like really going.
It's coming from the guy who, what was it, 2 days ago had a. Yeah, I know breadtube is the term. I don't like breadtube because breadtube refers to a very specific book and set of ideologies that none of these people actually like under. Yeah, sectard. Okay. Write that down. Chat, write that down. Sectard. That's going to be the term. When I'm king of the sector, I will put out a decree saying that the left sector is the sectards. The problem with breadtube is that like it refers to a very specific book and ideology that none of these guys like have actually read or know anything about.
Going live and talking about things, or even like working through research on things, but just
also what I was saying before is this guy's talking about people shouldn't talk about stuff till they know about it. Meanwhile, 2 days ago he had that Houthi kid on and had to have some translator explaining like his Tuscan Raider language to him, and then couldn't even talk to him about the Houthis. He's just like, I can't give you an explication of my position because the FBI is coming for me, so I'm just gonna say I love Palestine.
Just in the last like week of stream, but beyond that, I don't know anything, and I want to learn about it. So like, let's learn about it. Or let's. I just did a stream where we did like a GeoGuessr thing. I don't know if you saw. Embarrassing. That's going on.
Well, I think that the sectard, the king of the sectard is Sultan Hassan.
Online and doing something I wouldn't do in a scripted video where I'm supposed to be smart, but in a lot of ways we aren't smart about
the sublime port
certain things. So I think it's a. I don't know. I think
it's good.
what you're doing.
It's very humanizing. Yeah.
Yeah.